I think it's going to drive people away from Skegness next year because they don't want to come and see gangs of young lads hanging around the streets. And that's what it is basically. There's no women and children there. It's all young males. And Matt Warman said the other night that they're best suited, in his words, to make the journey across the channel in the boats. Bullshit.
This is Callum Smiles for Rebel News here in Skegness, and in the midst of this migrant crisis, hoteliers around the country are being offered very lucrative deals to house migrants. So I've come here to the Hatters Hotel to find out exactly why the owners of this particular hotel have turned down one of the government's very handsome offers.
So I think the question everyone wants to know, how much were they offering?
They offered us I thought it was 132,000, but it was 136,000 pound every 3 months, every 13 weeks.
And how long was the contract for?
They said initially 3 months, but it would be ongoing.
Yeah, so in the beginning, a year ago, when they first made us the offer, they made us that offer and said, it was going around the public, these immigrants won't be here in these hotels for no longer than 3 months. Because the law used to be, if you was to stay in a hotel for more than 3 months, you was then liable to pay council tax because you was then classed as a resident. So at the time, without confusing things, a year ago, this law was still in place, and the general public was being told it will be for no longer than 3 months. But little did they know, when making these offers a year ago to these hotel owners, such as myself and my husband, they was telling us something completely different. They were saying to us at the time, well, it's actually more for the foreseeable future. And that is before the law changed in May that you can stay in a hotel indefinitely without becoming...
Hotels have got HMO status, so they're no longer classed as a hotel per se. They've got HMO status, so you can stay there longer than 12 weeks. But when we first bought this place, to try and make sure that we covered all our bases, we asked the local architect that if it didn't work as a hotel, could we get the change of use to apartments or to a residential care home? And he said that it was unlikely because Skegness has got a protected bed policy, meaning the beds in the hotels are for tourists. And with that in mind, are the hotels that have taken them in breach of planning laws? Nobody knows, but they'll change the status to suit what the government wants.
Yeah.
So why did you turn it down? Because, that's... the hotel industry, as we've all seen, over the past 2 years, it's been decimated.
Oh, God.
So, those figures would kind of turn anyone's head.
Why
did you turn it down?
When we left Nottingham, we lived in the city, we decided to bring the kids to a seaside resort to give them better quality of life, if you like. I've been coming to Skegness since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. Dee's dad, who died a few years ago, it was his favourite place in the world. Dee's always been to the Skegness. This is a hub for tourism. It has been for decades. It's all about donkey rides, popcorn, candy floss, the sea, the arcades for kids. People come. The key word for this place is Skegness is a seaside resort for families. We don't want it to become a refugee town, which it is. We've only got 20,000 people, or just less than 20,000 people in Skegness. The council figures suggest at the moment that there's 254 refugees housed in the hotels. It's 1% at the moment.
It's tempting.
That's not counting the people that come in on the dinghies on the beaches that nobody knows about.
It's tempting, as that sum of money obviously is to anyone. Our morals just wouldn't allow us to do that. We don't want to be a part of the contribution into what is happening right now. What is happening right now, a lot of people are asking, in my opinion, it's something very sinister. It's all young men of fighting age. We've got our own homeless people on the streets. The figure that we know is just under 30,000. There's more than that on the streets. Of our own people, veterans who have fought for this country are on the streets.
Why do the government not provide accommodation in hotels, if they like, for the veterans that are living on the streets?
We'll take that. We'll go for that.
They've contributed to our system all their life. Most of them have fought for this country. A lot of them have fought for this country. And they're just left to one side.
Are you in Skegness? Because we've only been here a night and we've spoken to some of the locals, but obviously you know them much better than us. Have you spoken to other hoteliers that have made Are you alone, or have other hoteliers in the area made the same decision as you?
I think we're the only hotel that's made the decision. And
In the area?
In the area. And I believe that the hotels that have taken the shilling, if you like, are not owned by local business people. They're all out of towners, so it don't affect them. They're not bothered.
On the flip side of that, though, we do have a house out of this area, which we left behind when we came here. We could have easily have said, yeah, chuck 10 grand in our bank, sack all our staff, off we go. We'll just go back and hide away, like...
The criteria when they made us the offer was basically very simple. When we bought this hotel, it was in a really sorry state. So we could have said, forget it, let's just leave it as it is, keep them here for a year, take the money and run and refurb. It's dead easy to do that. But it depends where your moral compass lies.
Yeah.
We're not going to be part of the problem. We want to be part of the solution. We're only a small island. There's 67 million people that we know of in England, not counting the ones that we don't know about. It'll sink with so many people on it. Plus, where's the extra funding going to keep coming from? The rate is enough with taxes at the best of times. They can't expect us to keep paying and paying and paying and paying and paying. Mm-hmm. It's ludicrous. Matt Warman said last week that when they're processed at Manston, they're given the health checks. Then when they come to Skegness, they receive extra funding to get health checks again. 2 lots of health checks. There was a lady in the meeting the other night that can't get a dentist appointment until next November, 1 year down the road.
I've paid my national insurance all my life, but I can't get into a dentist. I've asked for a dentist appointment. You know when I got one? November next year.
If we ring our doctors, it's almost impossible to see them. It's a phone call. If we ring at 2 minutes past 8, we're number 78 in the queue, so we have to wait for them to ring us back. And then it's a phone consultation. I don't think many people now see a doctor face to face, and that's frightening.
So that's just doctors and dentists. What other knock-on effect in the local area has this had?
I think it's going to drive people away from Skegness next year because they don't want to come and see gangs of young lads hanging around the streets. And that's what it is basically. There's no women and children there. It's all young males. And Matt Warman said the other night that they're best suited, in his words, to make the journey across the channel in the boats. Bullshit. If I was in a war-torn country with my wife and children, they're coming with me. I'm not leaving them behind. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And plus, you see them making so many demands on the hotels. They're saying that the hotels aren't adequate for them. You've come from a war-torn country. You're being shelled all the time. So you're warm, you're fed, you give them money free of charge. Whereas our people aren't being given that.
And it's not only that, with these hotels in Skegness taking in the immigrants, there's going to be nowhere for the tourists to go. First point to be made.
Yeah, there's 5
They're not going to want to come. There's going to be nowhere for them to go anyway. It's going to have a knock-on effect on all hoteliers in the area that haven't took the shilling, as you like. And there's just local businesses aren't going to be supported. It's just going to have a snowball effect. It's going to become an absolute sham. But like we said before, we would not take no amount of money to contribute towards this insanity.
This is a problem, and we don't want to be part of the problem.
We want to go to bed at night knowing that we're doing the right thing.
If we fail with us as a hotel, we'll have no choice but to sell. If immigration gets worse in Skegness, if they increase it by, say, another 250, we would sell. We'd have to. Because we want a better life for our children, and that's what we thought we was getting when we came to Skegness.
And we're barely staying above water ourselves, so once again, that's sum of money. It was pretty eye-watering, wasn't it? But we just won't do it. We won't do it.
The criteria was easy. They wanted to shut the hotel down completely, so everything was shut off. We only had to have one member of staff on site 24 hours a day. We only had to change the laundry once a week and provide 2 basic meals a day. So currently we employ 10 staff on site. We'd have gone down to 1 and a cleaning staff once a week.
So we spent the night here last night, and you've got a pub as part of your hotel. And you know the locals were more than happy to talk to us about their concerns about all of this in the local area. But imagine you become almost like a bit of a local refugee centre yourself, because people come here to share their story, to vent their concerns. how often are you hearing sob stories, and what sort of things are you hearing from people who come here, almost just to, like I said, get it off their chest?
A lot of the local residents, we've got a lady that comes into our bar. She's in her 60s, and in June or July of this year, she was passing by the leisure centre, minding her own business, and one of the Afghans just went straight up to her and says, "You infidel."
Yeah, you effing infidel.
And she was like...
She's a
I beg your
respectable
pardon.
woman.
Yeah, she's a respectable woman. She's...
Not that that matters, but I'm just saying she's a respectable older lady and she takes pride of herself, care of herself, and walking down the street, you effing infidel. Like, it's sickening.
There've been reports that the police deny that they've been outside the kiddie schools photographing them playing football and stuff. There's been numerous complaints about them being hanging around the local nightclub. There's all sorts of rumours that the police say don't happen.
Well, actually, in that last meeting, there was actual people there who said to the constable who was at the meeting, the superintendent, sorry, they said to him, you know, literally they said there was one woman who stood there and said it was me who rang the police when my phone got stolen by one of them and it got traced back to in the hotel. She rang the police said, well, we're not going in there. And that was it. She never seen her phone again. And the policeman turned around and he said, no, that phone call never happened. We've never had any phone calls about him. She said, I was the one that rang you. It was my phone. It was me. Then there was someone else who said they reported someone taking pictures outside of kids' playgrounds. No, we've had no phone calls. They're like, but we made the phone calls. We can prove it off our phones. We made the phone calls.
There's a lot of untruths being told, saying that there's not been incidents reported, when we all know that there has been incidents reported. There was incidents reported about the immigrants going down and taking photographs of the children playing football, and that had been reported to the police, and you can deny that it's been reported or wrong, but it has been reported. There was an incident of a lady who had her mobile phone stolen. That was reported to the police. The lady, it was an old lady, and she activated her Find My Phone device, and it was pointed to one of the hotels. And thank you, the Sun Hotel. And the police, she told the police where it was, and the police apparently turned around to her and went, well, you better off just forgetting about it. Now that is wrong. That is disgraceful. The police refused to go into the hotel and retrieve that phone, even though they knew where it was.
We are not seeing a rise in incidents or crime. In terms of the mobile phone and the sullying, I am not aware of an instance of that nature. I am not saying it's acceptable. If that is true, that the police said we're not going to the hotel, well, that's not acceptable. What I will do is take that away and look and see if that is the case and look into that. But I don't have an answer here now. So I'll come to the police station when it comes to resources, but in terms of the photos of the children, we have not had incidents reported to us about that. If we do have instances like that, what I would say, if you see that happening, report it to us.
It's like it's all being covered over. It's like they're all working together. There's just something really sinister going on, isn't there?
I think the next frightening thing is that there's a company that's advertising for hotel officers, as they call them, which is basically security. But they say it's not for the faint-hearted. You've got to be a UK resident for at least 5 years, and it's only to be an officer in the hotels that offer the asylum to the asylum seekers, or the rooms to the asylum
And it literally states in there as well, this job is not for the faint-hearted. What does that mean?
It does say a lot about the current state of affairs in the UK, where you have the institutions designed to protect us gaslighting their own citizens, saying this hasn't happened. But the scariest thing I've heard, or rather the most concerning thing from a human to human level, is before this interview you were talking about a care home in the area.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more about that?
There's a dementia residential home, and it's only a rumour at the moment.
It's assumptions at the moment.
Yeah, it's assumptions at the moment. But the residents have been given until the 20th of December to vacate.
Just like that, it came from nowhere.
Craig Leyland, the councillor, he's been in touch with the owners of the home, and they've assured him that they're closing for...
It's just not
being
viable.
It's not a viable business any longer. But we know that reporters have been outside the home having a look, and the staff are coming out saying, what are you doing here, etc., etc. Somebody's posted on Facebook, a 103-year-old grandmother is in that home, and she's got to vacate by the 20th of December.
Just like that overnight, it came from nowhere. No pre-warning, it was just there.
And I think that hopefully they don't, but if it is being used for asylum seekers, I think that
Immigrants.
I think the anger in Skegness will tip out. And
But when they say not viable, do you know why?
No.
I don't see why, because I think it's 29 residents, dementia residents. I would have thought it's a viable business.
It's a viable business. There's just not really any reason why that would happen overnight like that. I mean, that really would. If they are, and like I say, it's just assumptions at the moment, there's been no confirmation, but if they are going to take immigrants in that care home, I think that is going to really tip some over in Skegness, isn't it? I think something big will happen, because that would literally be taking the biscuit, wouldn't it? I mean, they already are, but a care home.
It just makes you wonder where it's going to end, and it does make you fearful. So the 5 hotels that have taken it, 4 of them are prominent on the seafront. One of them is just off the seafront. Are people going to bring their little kiddies here in the summer? No, they're not.
No.
People are already cancelling hotel rooms ready for next year.
Yeah.
Skegness is getting such bad press at the minute regarding this situation. People are going to say, actually, we'll just go down the road somewhere else. But when we're all going out of business, and incidentally, the council and the VOA have just tripled our business rates, what are we going to do? Who's going to bail us out?
And they've got no plausible excuse for that either, have they? They can't tell us why they've tripled the business rates. It's just, there you go.
We've employed an agency to appeal it. Our accountant's appealing it. It's just incredible.
Just like to change policies and laws overnight, our business rates tripled for no plausible reason at all.
And the VOA can't give us a reason.
It's weird. It's a bit like undercover blackmail.
Finally, and this is something that I think I know the answer because I've heard from people in other different towns and cities. Were you ever told this was going to happen?
Never. At no point was we told.
No?
We've had this place for about 15 months.
Yeah.
15, 16 months. If we'd have known that this was going to happen in this area, we wouldn't have bought here.
No.
So there was absolutely no
Nothing.
government
No
communications to people of Skegness.
None at
This is
all.
what's happening.
Nobody was aware of anything like this until October last year.
Yeah,
And
and
it
that's
just
when
happened
everyone was
overnight.
being told, you
Well,
know,
overnight.
it won't be for any longer than 12 weeks, even though they knew all along that it was not going to be a 12-week thing, hence why they offered us the money for an indefinite amount of time for the foreseeable future.
Well, Dee, Gary, thank you very much for your story.
So that was Gary and Dee, the brave owners of the Hatters Hotel here in Skegness, sharing their story about exactly what's going on with the hotels and the migrant crisis. Not only that, they're managing to echo the thoughts of worried citizens here in the local community. And with the migrant crisis worsening, with the record number of arrivals being broken week after week, month after month, year after year, this is a migrant crisis that isn't going away anytime soon. This has been Cal Smiles, Rebel News, here at the Hatters Hotel in Skegness. If you enjoy our coverage of the migrant crisis and you want to see more, head over to migrantreports.co.uk, where you can make a donation to help us continue doing this good work and where you can see all the work we've done previously. Thank you.